Hello, Kerie. Thank you for being with us today. We in a matter of we just got through talking for a few minutes, so we're pretending like we just picked up the phone in our talking. Kerie, you are a therapist. You're a hypnotherapist. You're a consciousness guide. You have lots of experience and information on the kind of topics that our audience is most keenly interested in. And it all begins with consciousness. And that's all that we are, all that we experience. Uh, what is your perception? How do you describe to people what consciousness is?
Consciousness, we are surviving. We are not thriving. We are just existing. And we're existing in a state of consciousness that is not healthy. It actually creates disease within the body. So if you went to mastertheupperrooms.com and you went to free stuff, free images, there's images like these that break down what is 3D human consciousness, and that ranges from the frequency and of 20 to 175. And 20 is the lowest, which is shame, humiliation, suicidal thoughts. And the 175 is vanity, righteousness, scorekeeper, inflated ego. You deflect the truth. You're a two-faced gossip. You're a controlling person. But then this is where we all want to be, is 40 human consciousness. And the first frequency is 200. And that is where you have the courage to change. You're flexible, you're determined, you're goal oriented. We call these people heroes because they're courageous. And where I call the sweet spot is 250. It's where you're satisfied with life. You're confident, you're grounded, balanced, adaptable, you're non-judgmental, you've solved problems, you're easily to let the little things go. Now, as you and I know, Dean, the sweet spot, and I mean the sweet spot, where you feel one with everything, you have inner peace, there's unconditional love, you're one with our creator and your guides and whatever wants to speak to you in the universe, that's 500. That's 5D human consciousness. The first step is unconditional love. Then, the next one, 540, is joy. 600 is peace. And then from 700 to 1,000 is where you have that just awe, wonderness. And so let's say when you want to manifest anything, you want to go to the frequencies and the thought patterns of 5D human consciousness. You do. You want to meditate, that's where you're getting yourself. You're raising yourself up to that quiet peace of mind, and you open yourself up to your angels, your spirit guides, the universe, and it just flows through you because we are connected, as you know, Dean, with everything. There's no separation. We are actually divine, holy beings. We just forgot who and what we are. And so that's why it's so important to monitor your levels of consciousness, because it tells you where you're stuck. It tells you, do I need to change the way I'm thinking, acting, or behaving? And it really brings about clarity, as I tell people, to go within and do the work, because everybody has their pain story and everyone has their own journey in life. Not every journey or path is the same, as you know.
Right. Yeah. Are you familiar with David Hawkins?
Yes.
Okay.
He did the map of human consciousness. Yes.
Yes, and his scale that he uses, he defined in Power versus Force. I think his first significant book is very similar to what you were holding there, and he used kinesiology as a means of measuring where he and other people were on the scale of human consciousness, and his correlations are very similar to what you have on your scale. 700 was essentially fourth density population, and it goes, that only goes to really through a portion of fourth density. There's much more that occurs, in consciousness levels above that. But kinesiology, I've found it to be somewhat accurate, but not consistently accurate. So you kind of have to. It was apparently very um, accurate for Dr. Hawkins. He was a psychiatrist as well as psychologist, so he covered both ends of the spectrum. And his the Power versus Force book, I think, was his psychology doctorate paper that he simplified for us mere humans to understand.
No, I get it, because in 2012 I woke up one day and what speaks to me said, "You're going to write this book, and here's the table of contents, and go in front of your computer and start typing." And when
Yeah,
I
it's
got
called auto writing.
yes,
It just flows. Yeah,
it
yeah.
does. And when I got to chapter 2 is where I downloaded all the information about the power of our emotions
Mm-hmm.
and this information. And I was so surprised that I asked it, is there any information to back this, like science, any clinical data? And it said, yes, there is. And so it guided me to go online. And that's when I discovered his work. And I was just in awe how it just lined up and matched perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tried to get a hold of him to gift him my book once I finished writing it, he died that year.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people wondered if he was coming through me for that one specific chapter to write it, because he never broke it down into what is 3D, what is 4D, and what is 5D. And so then what speaks to me said, with my coaching practice, just have everybody aligned to the frequency of love.
Mm-hmm.
Just make that your goal. Shift people's perception, bring them out of the fear, out of the doubts, out of the worries, out of the anger, and align them with that.
Right.
And when I did that with people, and I did it in my hypnosis recordings, it was amazing, Dean. I mean, just life-changing.
But you're probably familiar with Ram Dass that died a few years ago. Did it ring a bell?
No.
Actually, Ram Dass's real name was Richard Alpern, and he was a psychologist at Harvard, along with Timothy Leary, and there was another guy, I forgot the third guy's name, but the three of them experimented, essentially began the experimentation with LSD back in the 60s. And Timothy Leary went on to fame with the hippie movement of, I think, tune in, turn on, and drop out was his
Right.
mantra. And anyway, the three of them got dismissed from Harvard for their exploitations with LSD. But Ram Dass had the awareness that the feeling that he was getting from doing the LSD was actually something that we need to achieve without the drug. So he recognized the hallucinogenic as a peek behind the curtain. And that's what hallucinogenics are intended to do, to give us a peek behind the curtain so we can see what it's supposed to feel like when we do the work to achieve that level of healing. And anyway, he went to India for, I think, some number of years, like 20 years or so, and had some really amazing experiences. But he came back, and being a psychologist, he was still doing some practice. And he had the awareness that the most beneficial thing that he could do for his patients was to require them to come up to his vibration level rather than him go down to their vibration level. And regardless of what methodology that they wanted to use, or what their story was, or anything of that nature, he understood that all he had to do was to maintain his higher vibration and require them to come up as close to that vibration as possible to affect the healing that they needed in their recovery, in their healing. But he wrote several books, and became quite an influential spiritual leader as Ram Dass, which was an honored name that the Indian gurus had given him because of the work that he achieved. But understanding with the people that we meet, not just the people that we may be working with on a professional level, but people come to us almost invariably with a lower vibration emotion that they're, or condition of being. Is not really an emotion, it's their condition of being. And recognizing the chaos that they are in by virtue of that lower vibration, and requiring them to come up to your vibration by not commiserating with them or not being affected by their lower vibration, is very healing to them. And I wanted to ask you about the hypnosis that you use, and what is your perspective of the what happens to the patient when they go into a hypnosis condition, and how does that allow them to benefit from that experience?
That's a great question. The best way to start is, I always believe the pre-talk is so important, because it's setting the foundation, a blueprint of what I'm going to do. And what I always do is, like you said, they come in and they share their pain story of why they're here. And I tell all of them that why they're so stuck in that mindset is they're clinging to the human experience. And for whatever reason, your soul is on a journey, and your soul chose this lifetime, and it chose some of these experiences that you're having to allow your soul to grow, evolve, and become the best version of you. So this is really just a road bump, or a stepping stone to something greater of where you want to go. And when I explain that to them, and a lot of people, I do what you would call parts therapy, or inner child work, or internal family systems, because I'm trained in NLP. And so a good example is, I worked with a gentleman just a few days ago, and he has major health issues, high stress, high blood pressure. He, when he was 18 years old, he got hit by a car when he was on a motorcycle, survived that. Then in his early 20s, was in his friend's car who decided to go off a cliff. And he actually, I know, survived that, but had like numerous surgeries. He's blind in one eye. And it just, what I kept hearing is he was like, why me? Why me? And I said, you feel like your body, your vessel is not your friend, it's your enemy. And he's like, yes. And so a lot of times when I do my work, I'm listening to them, and I tell them what I hear, what I see. I mean, I just do it. Mm-hmm. And so when I did his parts therapy, what I always do is I I'm channeling. For the first 30 seconds, I'm connecting to them, to their higher self, to anyone that needs to come in. I connect to this, and I allow them to show me what I need to describe. And so with this gentleman, everyone is different. Some person could have one person show up. This guy actually had three. He had the one when he got in the motorcycle accident, other one thrown off the cliff, and then another one that really feels like my life sucks. You know, why this? You know, just stuck in the victim state consciousness. And what I did was, when he slows down his brainwave patterns and opens the door to his subconscious mind, it can listen. And I was sending it so much love and so much wisdom and understanding that all the parts said, I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. And they all elaborated it. And then what I do is I have them all merge back into the main personality, where they're no longer feeling broken or flawed. They feel whole again. And I told those parts, I'm going to give you a new assignment, a new job. And that new job is to where so-and-so, this person, is calm, relaxed, grounded, balanced, and centered. That he actually, when he feels pain in his body, he realizes it's just a message from his body sending him a signal that I need to relax. I need to slow down. I need to take a break. And so I spoke to it in such a way that it allows everything to harmonize and raise up. And then what I do is I future pace. And to me, that's the most important, is you want to show those parts and your subconscious mind what is possible, what future will be for me. And so I had him see himself wake up in the morning, and your body moves in a more comfortable way. You are optimistic today. You're hopeful. You go to work and you're easygoing. The things that used to stress you out before no longer stress you anymore. You just let the little things go. And so I had him imagine his day, seeing as he goes throughout his day, he just feels complete. He's just satisfied. There's no more pushing. There's no more pulling. There's no more striving for more. I'm just happy and content with my life. I've achieved what I need to achieve, and I just want to enjoy this journey moving forward. And so I actually got a message from the guy this morning, because I met him on Saturday, and he's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And it's only just been a few days. It's like his whole outlook changed. So let me explain the logic behind this, Dean. And I'll use the example of smokers. Smokers consciously have a green light to quit smoking, but in their subconscious mind back here, it's a red light, because it's a habit that they programmed in the operating system of their mind. But when you slow down your brainwave patterns and you open the doorway to your subconscious mind, when I say to smokers, there's always something better to do than smoke, consciously they are nodding and thinking in their head, yes, there is. There is. And your subconscious hears that thought. And it goes, oh, that's what you want me to do. Okay, I will start to change the operating system. And so it does. But here's the most important thing I stress to everybody. When I make the recording, I want you to listen to it for 28 to 30 days, because it takes 28 to 30 days to rewire your brain. I don't want to give you a Band-Aid, because Band-Aids rip off. And I tell people, when you know all the parts have integrated, because some parts will be on the fence or in the background, because they've been running that way for like 30 years. Like that part of him that got in the motorcycle accident, it got frozen in time in his brain. And it still thinks, that I should be afraid to drive. And he was afraid to drive. And so when you change all of that, you'll know I can't describe it. It's just like all the puzzle pieces snap into place and you're just like, wow.
Okay, let me ask. In what you're describing to me, what I'm hearing you say is in your process, you have them feel the polarities of the experience. You're having them to feel the negative polarities first, identify that because that's obviously the dominant condition that they're in at the time, and then you have them feel the polar opposite of that, the positive feeling. Is there a step where you actually integrate those two, or do you allow just the familiarity of the new experience of the positivity to sit there?
No, I integrate it. That's why those parts that we had that were in opposition, I let them know that, hey, this person is this old,
Mm-hmm.
like in their 50s. They're not 18, they're not 20, they're not none of those other ages. This is
You're no
how old
longer
this.
bulletproof.
Correct. And I let it know that this person, is suffering and they need
Mm-hmm.
your help. They need your support because you're part of him and he's part of you. And wouldn't you like to be a family again? Wouldn't you like to be whole again? And so I
Do you
always,
characterize do you characterize this as a compartmentalization in their mind?
I look at it as in their mind. Like I said, they're putting the puzzle pieces together.
Right.
Yeah. And
But
so there are different parts that will join the very first time you do it. And there will be parts that can sit on the fence that are like questioning, is this possible? Can I actually do this? And but you still invite them to join whenever they're ready to join the main personality.
okay, so by inviting you, you require them to make the motion to heal. They have to assume responsibility
Yes.
for the healing.
Yes. So a lot of times I see, like with that gentleman, is I said, imagine, and I had them all hold hands where he was sitting in the recliner, they were sitting in the couch behind him. They all hold hands. And when it came time for the integration, I had him imagine that you all stand up and you do a big group hug. Just hug everybody and feel that support, feel that oneness, feel that forgiveness and cooperation and understanding and wisdom that you've obtained from all this information. And so I have it merge. And then when he opens his eyes, they're not there anymore. But then I say, you can sense they're still here because you place your hand on your heart, because home is where the heart is and we live behind our eyes. And they're in your heart, integrated there. And so then I have him show them. Now let's show them what is possible moving forward. Let's show them how life can now be, now that we are whole, now that we are coming together for, the greatness and the wholeness of whatever the person's name is.
Okay. Do you, is it when you, now this is the hypnosis process that you're describing. Is that correct? You do this in hypnosis. Are they
Yes.
in a trance state?
Yep.
Do you put them into a trance state? What characterizes the trance state from their non-trance state? How would you distinguish the two? Describe the distinctions between the two.
You get very, very relaxed. Some people feel like a heaviness. Some
Mm-hmm.
people feel like they're floating. Other people are aware of their mind, but they're not physically aware of their body.
Okay.
And some people go really, really deep that they don't hear anything I say. They just go so, so deep into their subconscious mind because it's working out all the problems in the background.
So that's what wives think of their husbands when they've been married for a long time and they're not paying attention to him.
He's in a trance.
Okay.
That's a good one, Dean.
Okay, well, that's good to know. In the that your description is virtually the same thing that you experience when you go into meditation. When you go into a deep meditation, then you're all you're doing is in inverting that awareness from outside of you inside of you. And the source, we have multiple minds that we have available to us, even at this range of consciousness. And when we talk about higher ranges of consciousness, we're not separate from that. They too, those higher ranges of consciousness, also are functioning according to a mind. And we have access to those because we simultaneously exist on all ranges of consciousness at the same time. And so our evolution is nothing more than getting rid of those erroneous beliefs that you're describing that cause us perpetual stress and suffering, to free ourselves from those, to allow ourselves to tap into what you're describing as subconscious mind and so forth. They're perfectly available to us here and now, but in order to tap into that, we have to surrender our perceptions that prohibit us from accessing those.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of people say, oh my God, I wish I could do what you do. I wish I could be just like you, have this come through. And I tell them, you can. You
Yeah,
can.
they have absolutely
Yeah.
the same capacity as anybody else does to do that.
You do have the same capacity. The most important thing, though, is the more trash you take out, the more divinely connected you get. And that's why I say when you master the different states of human consciousness, like when you master unconditional love, can you love yourself unconditionally? Can you love the person that you dislike the most unconditionally? Can you find grace through acceptance? Can you find compassion in the most horrific moments? When you can literally master those different states of consciousness, then you have achieved what I call greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Because your whole reality changes, your whole view of life changes, and it's kind of like the veils, the filters that we were born into, indoctrinated into, it just vanishes away, and you
Those are
become,
just beliefs.
yeah,
Those,
it is.
yeah.
It literally, it's just all limiting beliefs, garbage that was just filled in our minds. And once you take that trash out bit by bit by bit by bit, it allows grace and what's up here to come down and speak to you and flow through you and work with you to be of service to humanity. Because that's why we're all here. We are all students and teachers for one another. And the hardest lessons to learn, are in the area of 4D human consciousness and 5D, which is, acceptance. It's forgiveness, it's compassion, it's patience, unconditional love.
Well, that's what we're learning here. Those are
Yes.
the precursors to actually experiencing love. Uh, Love is. I was going to ask you, what is your definition? What is your perspective of love?
Well, love has many different layers and many different forms. I mean, your love for a child is different than your love for your husband. Your love for your best friend is different than your love for something else. And I mean, that's why I just feel love has so many layers, and love is soft and it is gentle and it is kind and it is compassionate. It embodies all of those 4D traits and a lot of the 5D ones. I mean, it's just pure bliss.
Well,
And
those are behavioral characteristics that you're
yes,
describing.
yes. And so when you feel and you align with that frequency, it's almost like a warm summer day, but you're not getting burnt by the sun. It's beautiful. I mean, everything, things are flowing with ease and grace. I think it's just magical. And that's why I tell a lot of people, you can learn to forgive the unforgivable. You can, because the forgiveness really is for yourself. And that's why I say, I love everybody and everything. Even when I see something horrible happen, I still know that God was present in that. God didn't make the person do that. That was someone else's choice. But I realized that I have to separate love from like, because you can love someone and still not like them. And that, to me, I think is the most beautiful step. I know you're laughing.
No, yes, I'm not laughing because I'm laughing. I'm laughing because of the synchronicity of what I was thinking.
Yes, because there are some people, that I love very dearly, but I don't like them.
Yeah.
And would I invite them over for tea or a dinner party? The answer would be hell no. But I accept them for who they are, because they are a profound teacher of the polar opposite.
Right. They're mirrors to us.
Yes, they are. And so when you get triggered, that's a sign there's something inside of you that you need to clean up and dump the trash. So I'm going to share a good story that this is a good lesson for some of your listeners. I call it seeds blowing in the wind, and it's about grace through acceptance. So when we're around toxic people, their words are like weeds, negative seeds blowing in the wind. And when they say something that triggers a reaction within us, what's happening is we grab that seed and we water it with our thoughts. How dare they? With all the 3D levels, anger, hatred, spite, bitterness, we water it and it grows and it festers and it creates dis-ease, disharmony within the mind, body, and emotions. And so I was trying to teach my son the lesson of, when you hear these toxic words, just let it float on by. When you recognize it and you realize that that's a trigger, you have a choice. Do I want to grab the seed and water it, or do I want to let it go? So here's the funny part, Dean. I had a family member come over, and we were sitting down with my son and this other person, and they started talking bad about my mom, who has passed away. And I tried to give reasoning and rational, her life and how she became the way she did. And I pretty much said, yes, she was horrible to me, but I still love her. I didn't like her behaviors, but I still loved her. And I guess they didn't like my responses. And they said, well, your rambling sounds like you're schizophrenic. And so I thought in that exact moment, as we're all laughing, in that exact moment, you're telling me to shut up. You don't want to have this conversation because I'm not going to buy your bullshit. And so I just let it go. I got quiet and I said, okay, fine. And I just walked out the room. And I went and did something else that brought me more joy. And when they were leaving, they hugged me and kissed me and said, oh my God, I love you. I missed you so much, yada, yada, yada. And as soon as they drove away, my son was like this. How dare they talk to you like that? How dare they? And I was like, what did they say? And he reminded me what they said. And I started laughing. And I said, sweetie, that seed was for me, not for you.
You picked it up. Yeah.
You grabbed my seed. Yeah.
Yeah. Good lesson. Good lesson.
Yes.
Well, let me give you some thoughts on love. Okay,
Yes.
we're talking about consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
What distinguishes the layers of consciousness is our degree of free will intoxication. Free will, we misunderstand. It is not the choice to turn right or to turn left. That's the product of free will. Free will is actually our perception of separation.
Yes.
And as we are very intoxicated, it works like an intoxicant. The more whiskey you drink, the more foolish things you do because your awareness goes down. The same is true with free will intoxication. The more intoxicated with free will, the more we perceive ourselves as separate from the Creator. Ultimately, the entire process of evolution, the entire process of enlightenment is sobering from that free will intoxication. The behavior that you're describing as loving behavior is predicated upon the capacity to surrender in this range of consciousness that degree of free will intoxication so that we can begin to recognize other people, places, and things as extension of ourselves rather than competitors for advancement or whatever it is that we're competing with them about. And so actually we are tasked with becoming awareness at this range of consciousness, which is a requirement for preparation for graduation to the next range of consciousness that you're referencing as fourth density, 4D, fourth density.
Yes.
In the next range of consciousness, we will do the same thing with love. We will become love in preparation for graduating to the next range of consciousness. So we are not privileged with the opportunity to experience or to be in that condition of love at this range of consciousness other than briefly, just like I was referencing with Ram Dass that had the opportunity to get a peek behind the curtain by virtue of the LSD. That's what we get when we experience, when we really feel love. It's because we feel so comfortable with the person, place, or the thing that we're associating with at that moment. We feel so comfortable with them, we're willing to temporarily surrender this false perception of self that we create. And we are feeling our authentic self, which Carl Jung used to call the true self.
Yes.
That true self is already all of those inherent characteristics of the Creator, which is love. Love is the next available range of vibration to us that we feel. So we don't feel it all the time because we're still learning about awareness, but we do get a peek behind the curtain when we feel that love. And we can, as we surrender this perception of separation we call free will, begin to have greater agency with other people. And so consequently, we behave in more loving fashion, not only with those that we have felt that feeling of love, but with everybody in general, because we begin to recognize they're not competitors. We're just all walking each other home. So love is actually a condition of being. I'm sorry?
I said at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all the same. It doesn't matter your degrees, your profession, how much money you have, all your achievements. None of that matters. Fame, none of it matters. What matters is at the end of the day, you're the same as everybody else.
Well, what is preserved after a lifetime is what we have learned about the inherent characteristics of the Creator. None of the parchments on the wall or the money, none of that goes with us. It all goes into the ground with us when we're buried. But what we have learned, what is accrued to our metaphysical self, is what we have learned about those inherent characteristics of the Creator, and that determines our advancement through the evolutionary process. So
right, that's why I tell people, your soul is immortal. I mean, this is a vessel. I mean, I remember one night I was lying in bed crying, thinking about my dad, like just horrible things he did. And God actually came in and spoke to me and said, he was just your father that created this vessel that your soul lives in. But I am your father and love you more than anyone will ever know. And I started crying even more because I was like, that is correct. You are my creator. Because I've lived lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and many different vessels, created by very different, other souls and stuff.
Right.
But yes, my soul is one with our Creator.
Right. And our metaphysical self is not gendered.
Yes, it's not, and that's why I say it's neutral. I've been men and women, I've been other species in different lifetimes. It doesn't matter. And our souls gather all that information, and it's inside of us. If, when we can quiet our minds and meditate and connect to our higher self, your soul has so much wisdom. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's behind the curtain. It's not just getting a peek behind the curtain. It's already behind the curtain.
Yes, but when you actually blend with that and you create a beautiful relationship with that, it's amazing. I look at it as you want to embody it, you want to become it. I mean, I believe that's exactly what Jesus was trying to teach all of us anyway.
Yeah.
He was, when he talked about the kingdom of heaven, it wasn't a place, it's a state of being, a state of consciousness.
Yeah. One of the things I do with one of the groups that I teach, I have them list those characteristics that we deemed quality characteristics that we all admire, like morality, ethics, integrity, truthfulness, honesty. Just have them list those. And then I ask them to tell me what the common denominator for all of those characteristics are. And they're puzzled by that. The common denominator for all of those is consideration for others, because you can be taught those things, but if you're given the opportunity to violate those in order to get more of what you perceive that you like, without that being who you are, then you'll violate those invariably and then feel guilty for the rest of your life about it. But once you surrender those perceptions of separation, you sober from those perceptions of free will intoxication, then those become who you are. And it's not a matter of even questioning your truthfulness or your honesty or your integrity. None of those even come into mind, because that becomes who you are, because you've surrendered that false perception of self that needs immediate gratification.
Exactly, 100%.
So anyway, throw out my 2 cents worth then to add, hopefully, to your well-received wisdom that you're providing us. So, Kerie, this has been great. Do you have some words of wisdom to leave with our listeners that you would like to share before we depart?
Well, I know I mentioned people can find the free images. And just to let you know, Dean, I'm so excited because my book now has gotten 3 awards.
Super.
Yes, 3 awards. And I'm anticipating some more because I put it out there. And it does have the images also in the book of the different states of human consciousness. Where is it? I know it's in here, but you can find this on Amazon. Yeah, it has the different images of the different states of consciousness in there. But
if you will,
because it's set in the future on the new Earth. And it was so fascinating because in 2023, I had a major spiritual awakening, and I was given just the title of the book of what it would be. And I waited and waited and waited. And then one day it was like, boom, like you said, okay, here's the book, here's the characters, this is how you're going to write it. And it was just beautiful. I mean, it literally, I think I wrote it all in about 5 months. Just
they were just waiting for you to get in the right mood to give it to you.
Exactly. Well, and you'll learn about that in the very last chapter, because it was literally Archangel Metatron that came to me, filled my bedroom with light, and was like, okay, this is what you're going to write. Because a lot of it was his message and his for us, for humanity. Yeah, and it was neat too, because there was one point where I got sick and I was wondering, why is this happening? And he said, I want you to research Enoch. And I was like, who the heck is Enoch? And I found out he was Enoch. Enoch was a human that walked on Earth, that the watchers, the angels, watchers of Earth, came down, spoke to him. And long story short, he's been considered the first human that was turned into an archangel. So when I learned that, I was like, holy cow, this is like mind-blowing. That was so awesome.
You just had to be in the right condition in order to receive it.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Kerie, this is great. I thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your time with us and all this information. If you will do me a favor and just email maybe a link to your book on Amazon, and I'll
Okay.
put it in the show notes so people can just click on that and go to your.
Sounds awesome. And you,
Okay.
Dean, I hope you have a blessed day.
Well, thank you. I'm going to do the best that I can to make that happen.
All right. And I
All
hope
right.
all your listeners do as well.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Kerie. Take care, and we'll talk again soon, hopefully.
Okay. All right.
Bye bye.
Bye.